This video is going to be all about getting this box scraper repaired to the condition you see it in right now.
Getting ready to lay down some welds over the top of the structural upright supports on this thing. I've really put a lot of wear and tear on this box blade over the 3 years I've owned it, and I'm kind of getting frustrated with having to tighten up the bolts constantly. So I'm just welding those structural supports right to the frame of the box scrapers to prevent those nuts and bolts from coming loose. I suspect this will help out quite a bit in the long run. I've definitely got a lot of use out of it. Really happy with it.
Well, it's not the worst weld I've ever made. So I burnt in a second pass with that 6011. Well, I can definitely tell you they're not the best welds I've ever made, but you know what? I'm done screwing with them. Okay, so I went down to my local tractor supply store and I picked up a couple of, it would be these ones. So these are top link bushings, so this is the top link and these are lift arms. This is a category 1 setup. Currently, the quick attach is set up for category 3, which it slides right inside of there, so that's beautiful. We'll slide right inside this bolt. Look at that. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and just put this together like so. Considering the amount of wear and tear on this box blade, I'm considering just actually tacking the back of this bolt into place, because if I had to, I could just cut it off later. So you can see where the quick hitch pins hook on here. And you see how the orange part here is hitting on this black part. And if you look down this arm, you can see a bend in it right here. It's because when I bought it, I backed into a stump and I bent the crap out of those things and I rebuilt them. And when I rebuilt it and it was hooked up to the 3-point hitch the standard way, it didn't matter. They weren't perfectly straight. But now I'm off. And the box blade is not fitting. That is problematic because I need to use this on Wednesday and it's Monday.
So at this point in the video, I kind of got in a hurry because I needed to get this thing up and operational to go use it over at a friend's house. So I stopped filming the modification to the upper frame of the box blade to make it work with that quick attach or quick hitch that you see me hooking up right here. So I basically ended up cutting off the structural support ears, moving them in about 3/4 of an inch and welding them back on. None of which I filmed, sorry about that. I ended up having to stop work on the box blade for a little while because I had to take it over to my buddy's house and do a bunch of work for him, which went really well. And then the tractor ended up over at my brother's house, which he used it to do a bunch of stuff.
These are the ripper teeth, or the scarifiers, off of my box blade. Over the years, and I've had that box blade for about 3 years, I have destroyed these things. Basically, they're in various stages of damage or disrepair. This is a new tip. So this slides on the front of that thing and you press here with a press and it dimples the side of this thing. In any case, over the years I have ended up doing some weld repair on the tips because these are hard to come by. They're either sold out or the shipping is really ridiculous. Locally, they're really hard to find. Tractor Supply doesn't carry them. My local Kubota dealership doesn't carry them. When I bought these ones with the 4 holes, I didn't realize that the shape of the tooth was so drastically different, the point. So let me show you the difference here. So this is one with 3 holes that also has lost the tooth. And you can see the drastic shape difference here, how far this one sticks out in relation to the shaft. Same thing here, this one doesn't. Well, the teeth I ordered go on like this with the flat part on the top, and they fit the ones with 4 holes. They don't, however, you can see here where that dimple is at, this doesn't actually slide on far enough. I mean, you can see where I've actually worn through the back of the tips and into the base metal. It's pretty drastic, like on this one here. So this is the tooth, and this area right here is actually the ripper shank itself. Not good, right? I should have replaced these a long time ago. You can see I tried to do well build up to try to protect that a little bit, but in any case. So this is a 12-ton Harbor Freight manual hydraulic press. And what you saw me just make was this little nubbing. It was a tip off of a metal concrete stake that I cut off, and then I welded to a piece of scrap steel so that I'm able to slide it in between the point of the press and where the dimple belongs on the shank to tip. I am gonna go ahead and try to do this cold. I'm not gonna heat it up first. So we're just gonna hold this in here and press it down and see what it does. I suspect it will do just fine, the fact that this stuff is just mild steel. Roughly about where I think the dimple's at. I have to say, that worked significantly better than I thought it was going to. So that's the dimple. And you can see that this thing is on there nice and tight. I've decided, because I want to replace all of the ripper teeth, these, on the ripper tines, these, that I've actually modified the original ripper tines that came with the box scraper to better fit the ripper teeth that are actually made for a different style of ripper tine, which I happen to have ordered 2 of a couple of years ago. So this ripper tine and this ripper tooth are made to go together. Notice the 4 holes. This was the original ripper tine. There was 3 holes. It came with my box blade. And you can sort of see the difference in the bottom hooks. In order to make the ripper teeth work, I'm having to modify the ripper tine pretty drastically, but it allows the tooth to fit on there properly with the correct angle and the correct dig. Alright, so there's one of the short ones done. Dimple on this side, dimple on that side, and that thing is, on there, rock solid. Pretty dang happy with that. So I'm ready to put the ripper shanks back in. I've got 2 longer ones, and those will go, so there's 5 ripper shanks across here, so we'll go short, long, short, long, short. At least that's the idea. So we got the 4 hole, which is one of the long ones. So we'll go here.
It was at about this point that the battery on my normal camera died. So what you're watching is my time-lapse camera running, and what you're watching me do here is weld a few of the bolts in place so that I could get the nuts off. The bolts don't have a head like you would conventionally see on a nut and bolt. They're this kind of raised metal that actually digs into the blade itself. It was at this point I realized that I needed to do a little stick welding. I had stripped off 2 of the nuts trying to get them off, and I was just tired of fighting it. The TIG welder worked well to lock the nuts in place, but for welding through that rust and paint, stick welding was the way to go. I ended up using a little 6011, burnt through that rust and paint no problem, and then I added a little extra reinforcement to some of those structural welds that I had put on previously. So after cleaning off the welds, it was time to get this garage all cleaned up. Started putting away all my tools, got everything wrapped up, got the welder put away, got the cameras out of the way, air hose coiled up and put over there by the air compressor. Box scraper flipped back over and hooked on. Look at that. Hooked up no problem at all. Got the floor vacuumed up, and then it was time to go put the box scraper to good use. So I'm using the front loader and the box scraper in conjunction in this clip. And the box scraper does an incredible job of keeping the drag path very smooth, which makes operating the tractor incredibly easy. I highly recommend a box blade to anyone that has a tractor that's about this size.
Well, that about wraps up the repairs on the box blade, box scraper. I adapted it to work with my 3-point hitch. I added these ear bushings to work with the 3-point hitch. I welded all of this structure together, welded the structure to the frame, had to cut the support frame here, move it in, weld it back together to work with the quick attach. Really recommend that you just buy an implement that is already pre-done and works with the quick hitch versus having to modify one. I already owned this, and then I bought the quick hitch several years later. In any case, this specific piece of equipment has seen its better days. However, it's all fixed. I replaced the teeth on the ripper tines or the ripper shanks. Did a little bit of a paint job that's just really to cover up the welded areas to reduce a little bit of the rust, to realize the paint doesn't really look all that great, but for what I use it for, it's going to work just fine. I got the blade flipped around. This thing is ready to go back to work and do some heavy duty dirt moving. I realize it's not a bulldozer, but it definitely moves some dirt when I get to it. So I really appreciate if you'd hit that like and subscribe button. That always helps me out. Maybe check out a couple of these other videos. I only have my land plane modifications and a little bit of use over here. Definitely hit that subscribe button. That really helps me out in the long run. Check out some of my garage build, and then maybe take a look at my brother's house build. You'll see this being used in a couple of those videos. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this.